Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes.
Today we are going to be doing a new segment on our channel called Bookish Babe Book Babble.
And that is basically where we pick a book or a series that we've both read and we kind of just have a conversation about it on camera.
So the trilogy that we have chosen for today is the Love Me With Lies series by Tarryn Fisher.
And that one starts out with The Opportunist, and then the second one is Dirty Red, and the third one is Thief.
One of my favorite series ever.
It's probably my favorite romance trilogy of all time.
Just so you guys know, if you are planning on reading this series,
skip this for now.
because there are going to be plenty of spoilers in this one. So big fat spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Do not watch this if you are going to read the Love Me With Lies series by Tarryn Fisher. Tarryn Fisher is one of my favorite authors. This is not a secret to anyone, but I definitely think she's very underrated. This was her first series, and it really, really blew my mind. The way that Tarryn writes,
it's unlike anybody else. Yeah.
So unique.
And I think she is allowed to be so unique because she is self-published. I think a lot of people sleep on indie authors because they think that, oh, because they can't get signed to someone that their books aren't as good, when in reality Tarryn has been approached by multiple publishing companies, but she wants the freedom over her books, so she continues to self-publish, and I think that's really special, and it allows all of her works to be kind of consistent with her style.
Yeah, she's a true artist.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's hard to say about authors sometimes. And it's funny, I'm actually reading a book right now that says that some people write stories, or some people tell stories, and some people create stories. And she's someone who creates stories.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Starting The Opportunist was like diving into a whole different world.
Yeah.
The way that she writes, I've just never seen anything like it.
Correct.
And then it's very interesting to me because you really have like 3 villains in this series, and each one kind of takes place at a different time, but with the same people, focusing on a different character.
I think that's what's so special about this trilogy, is that literally not a single person, there's 3, like she said, there's 3 main characters, and they're all awful people. They're all horrible to one another, and they're all so toxic when they're around one another.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like, Olivia is the first main character that you really meet, and she really does some awful things. But I find so much of myself in her. Yeah. I can relate so much to Olivia.
We were just talking, I've never read a romance novel where I have been able to relate to the female lead until I read The Opportunist.
And then we have Leah.
Oh my god, Leah.
She is probably portrayed a little bit more as a villain than the other 2. Yeah. However, when you get the 3 of them together,
you realize that she doesn't do anything that's necessarily any worse than Caleb or Olivia has done. No,
it's all intertwined, and the workings, it's really like the inner workings of human nature.
Right.
Like, people wrong you kind of just want to lash back out.
Yeah, so basically I feel like we're jumping ahead a little bit, but let's talk about the actual story of The Opportunist. Yes. So basically it's told, it kind of switches back and forth between Olivia's point of view and Caleb's point of view, and the past and the present. So you get to see how Olivia and Caleb first met, and how their relationship kind of progressed, and how they got to the point that they're at when The Opportunist starts, which is basically that Caleb has just been in an accident and has amnesia and doesn't remember that Olivia even exists.
Yeah. That's pretty it's very interesting to watch that, because the way that they met was so unique to me, and they just immediately, like, there was chemistry, but it was weird chemistry. Like, you weren't really sure what was going to come of this, or if you really wanted them together.
No, and that's just it. We were talking about this too, is the fact that, like, they're so, usually when you read a romance novel, it's like, oh, of course they're gonna end up together, they're meant to be together. Caleb and Olivia are not meant to be together. They're awful. They're
just awful.
They're so toxic, but by the end you find yourself rooting for them, and you find yourself grasping at something that would allow them to be together forever, because it's like, who else would be with Olivia? Who else could be with Olivia?
Who else would be with Caleb?
No, nobody.
It's so clear. The writing is on the wall, pretty much. But I really think the dedication in the front, it says for broken love.
It's nothing else could describe this book
That's it.
enough.
For broken love.
Because then Olivia decides that she's going to pretend that she's never even met Caleb and make him fall in love with her all over again, even though he is he engaged to Leah in
He
the
is
beginning?
engaged.
Or
Yes.
Okay.
I do believe so.
Well, no, remember that she finds the engagement ring in his drawer?
Oh, she does, doesn't she?
So I don't think they're engaged in this
But they're
first
dating.
one. Yes, and they're in
He
a
is
very
taken.
they live together. They're in a serious relationship. It's not like it's just kind of like a fun thing.
His parents really, really want them together.
Yes,
Really,
because
really
she
want
comes
them
from a more wealthy family, and she's just a little bit more classier. You know, Olivia is from poverty, and she's a woman who doesn't care what people think about her, and she is not apologetic in the fact that she's just, you know, a wreck.
Me. Me. And now you see why I relate to Olivia.
Yeah.
But the way that she goes about it,
It's
like trying to win him back,
She's
but yet
horrible. She's lying to him the entire time, and she's so cunning and conniving. It's disgusting. She's actually just an awful person, and so is Caleb. You find out I don't want to say very quickly, but by the end of the book, that he's not even the kind of man that he's making himself out to be. He's not a good person. Because I think that Tarryn wrote this in such a special way, because you're supposed to, in the beginning, really feel like, oh, she doesn't deserve Caleb. Caleb's too good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize by the end of the book, he's not. He's got his own bucket of problems, and he's a mess in and of himself.
Mm-hmm. And I think that took a lot of talent to create people that are just awful. They're
really just bad people.
I can't even
but
use
you
another
root
word
for
to
them.
describe
That's the thing.
You turn around and you're like, I really want this to work.
Yeah, you find yourself excusing their behavior because you want their life to be good, even though they're horrible people.
And some of that behavior is just like, there's no excuse for that. No. It's not excusable, but you're like, well,
I can kind of see where they're coming from, but like really when you step back and if you were explaining it to somebody who has never read the novel, they'll be like, that's awful. That's horrible. What's wrong with her? She needs to be in jail.
Right. When I recommended it to her, I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I was just like, hey, you just have to read it.
She we're very similar as people and as women, and she said, I'm just gonna let you go. This is the first one you need to read by her because you're going to relate to it so much. And I did, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Olivia definitely has a part of me with her.
Yeah.
Like, I have like this little spot in my heart for Olivia.
Yes.
She just stays there.
Mm-hmm. So next we're going to talk about the second book in the series, which is Dirty Red, which is all about Leah, who we kind of briefly touched on a few minutes ago. She is dating Caleb in the beginning of The Opportunist, where we're kind of in the present. And Dirty Red describes her perfectly.
She is dirty red.
She's got bright red hair, and it's kind of a huge feature of her. Like, they bring it up a lot, and it even
for sure. And it actually not only just describes her hair, I think it describes her personality.
Yeah.
She is fiery and cunning.
And it literally even says on the back, this letter that Olivia wrote to Caleb. She said, "A redhead, Caleb? Really? You couldn't have replaced me with a blonde?" It's such a huge defining characteristic of her.
It really is. It really is. And like I said, I think it shadows more of a description of her than just her hair. Yeah. It's her personality, the way she is. She is very much alike with Olivia.
Yeah,
like she's conniving, she's cunning.
We were just talking about, right before we started filming this, kind of what we were going to say in the video, and I kind of brought up the fact that you're made to really hate Leah more than you hate Olivia, but you realize that they're kind of one and the same. They're not that different as people.
I think it's interesting to paint her as the villain.
Yeah.
When she is a horrid person and she does horrid things. And I definitely am not excusing any of her behavior because there's some of it that I just really can't stand.
Like, spoiler alert, she tricks Caleb into getting her pregnant and then like absolutely hates her child. She like doesn't, she has a hard time connecting, and she
left the baby at daycare. Let's just talk about that.
For hours.
For hours.
Like, the daycare closed at 7, and she rolls up at her house at like midnight, and is like,
and
oh,
she never
what
even
happened?
went back.
And she wasn't even concerned about the baby. She's like, oh, Caleb's gonna be so mad at me.
Yeah.
That's what she was concerned about.
She went out with the girls drinking.
Yeah, got drunk, and then hit and crashed, and crashed her car, and then...
So there's things that I just can't excuse. Like, that's, you're a really bad person.
Yeah.
Okay. The ending of Dirty Red.
That ending.
Yeah.
When I say that I shut the book, I did one of these. I was so upset.
If it was not a Tarryn book, I probably would have chucked it across the room.
I was reading it on my phone, so but I was this close. I've never been that upset with a character before, and it's so hard because, like I said, I relate a lot to Olivia, and Olivia and Leah aren't that different. So it was really hard for me. I found myself rooting for Leah also, but then that ending, I was like, no, screw her.
No. No, that ending got me so messed up.
And
so messed up.
For real, for a long time, thought that she was telling the truth. I thought that she really had the nerve to want to keep Caleb so bad, then proceed to get pregnant by his brother. And there's your spoiler. She lies and says that this baby, who Caleb loves so much.
Caleb is the only one who pays attention to that baby.
Yes, Caleb is the main parent to her, and she has the nerve to be like, nope, it's your brother's, it's not your kid.
And it's all because he's like talking to Olivia again.
Yeah. And she wants to keep him so bad. She's using her daughter as leverage.
Which, okay. Using the daughter as leverage, absolutely not. I cannot stand anything that she does in this book with the baby. That's just, let's put that out there. But at the same time, if you are a married woman and you have this other woman from your husband's past coming and trying to worm her way in, I for sure am going to be like, excuse me? So it does drive her to do some things that I don't think she would normally do. Although I do think she is much more selfish than the other characters.
Yes.
So I can see where some of it's coming from, but she goes overboard. Overboard, above and beyond, dramatic. I'm just like, wow.
In the way that
tone it down.
She tricks Caleb into marrying her, and then doesn't even tell Caleb that she's not on birth control anymore, and that she's taking fertility medications, that she basically tricks him into getting her pregnant. It's gross. That's just something that you don't do.
Very, very sneaky.
Yeah.
She's a sneaky one.
It's like, and that's something that, like, that's a line that I feel like even Olivia would have never crossed. Olivia would have never gone to those lengths. And
Leah is desperate.
Involved, she's very desperate. And she feels very, and huge trigger warning for Dirty Red too, if you've struggled with like an eating disorder in the past. I would maybe just be cognizant of that when you're going into this book, because you learn a lot about Leah's past and the fact that her mom fat shamed her all of her childhood, and then that kind of turned into her having a major eating disorder that really should have been addressed.
I really definitely think that her parents
have a lot to do with the way that she is.
A whole lot.
And you can get into the whole argument, the whole nurture versus nature. Her mom's an awful person.
They put a lot of pressure on that girl.
Yeah. Well, she was adopted. She was the daughter. Basically, once again, spoiler alert, her mom was pregnant with a little boy when they adopted her, and then she had a miscarriage, and they actually blamed Leah. They said that she was the reason that her mom lost the baby, and they wanted a boy so bad. They're just kind of that typical, I don't want to say typical family, but they're the family in the sense that they value men much more than they value women. And so to them, having a son was a great honor, and they lost that son, and they blamed her for it because she was the adopted child, and she was the child that was hard to deal with, and they were under the impression that because Leah was so stressful, that's why she had lost the baby. And so that's a lot for a child to grow up with, thinking that she destroyed her family.
Again, I'm going to say, there's only so much that you can excuse from her. Because
for sure.
At some point you have to break the cycle.
Yes.
You have to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful for her growing up, but man, that still does not excuse. It explains, but it doesn't excuse. To be honest, Dirty Red was probably top for me. Like, I loved everything else, but Dirty Red still sticks out in my head the most.
Okay,
out of
your
the
favorite?
series. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I really think so. And that's kind of weird because, like...
I'm the opposite. It was my least favorite.
I just loved getting into her head.
It was interesting, for sure. Like, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
But it definitely, I feel like, I just liked being in Olivia's head more.
It's really hard for me because I don't know that I could say that Dirty Red is necessarily my favorite. I don't know that I could say that any of them individually are my favorite. But it was the most
interesting to read.
But it was the most interesting for me to read. It sticks out in my head the most. Which, I mean, I guess makes sense. I am always about the villains.
Which they're all villains.
So.
Literally, Tarryn's whole thing is rise of the villain. And I think it's really special that she writes books about people who aren't good.
She just writes real shit.
Yeah.
It's real in your face.
Yeah.
No sugarcoating here.
No, absolutely not. So the last book in the series is Thief, and this is more so from Caleb's point of view, but once again, Olivia's definitely in here, and it kind of, like the other two, jumps from past to present.
Yeah.
And this is years.
A few other characters that you kind of get a little viewpoint on.
Yes, yeah.
That have been growing through the series.
Noah. I loved Noah. Poor Noah.
Sorry, Noah.
Yeah, the present in this one is years after the Opportunist has started. At this point, Caleb and Leah have been married, and if they, of course, have the child. And when this starts out, I'm pretty sure Caleb still thinks that the child isn't his.
Isn't this the one where Leah is on trial and he hires Olivia?
Is this it, or is that Dirty Red? Which, that, by the way, was cray-cray. Oh. And the fact that he's like, no, I just wanted to buy, like, he did it to get under her skin. Ooh, he's a snake. He's a snake, because at least Leah and Olivia are honest about who they are. He wants to make everybody think that he's innocent in every situation.
That he is the perfect gentleman.
Yes. Ooh,
all of that.
Ooh,
no, he is
I
just
love
as
him,
conniving.
but he's horrible.
I super love Caleb.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I super love Caleb.
Let's not talk about it.
I love Olivia, but...
They're both awful. How many times are we going to say that? They're horrible people.
They're deceitful.
Yeah.
Deceitful and conniving and cunning. And I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in this video. It's ridiculous. But I'm telling you, people, read these books. You will know.
Can we just automatically say that Leah, Caleb, and Olivia, all Slytherins? 100%.
For sure.
Yeah, and we get to say that because we are Slytherins.
Yes, for sure. Thief was just like the wrap-up. I feel like
Thief was what tied everything together. We definitely needed Thief. I think that you couldn't have ended it, especially with that plot twist at the end of Dirty Red.
Exactly. You needed that.
Yeah.
You needed to know what was going to happen. You needed to know who came from where and what and when and how. Because for real, you leave the Opportunist questioning so much. You leave Dirty Red questioning so much. And then Thief, you really get... You don't get a happy ending. I don't want to say that. But you get like a solid
Yes,
closure.
it all ties together. Yeah.
It was interesting to read from
There's no such thing as a happy ending with people like Olivia and Caleb. They'll never...
They shouldn't be together.
They shouldn't. No.
But I want them to be.
And there's something to be said for karma.
Karma.
Yeah, there's only so much that like you can put out into the universe before it like comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
And you definitely see that with especially Olivia. And I think, to me, Olivia is the character who grew the most. Because then by the end of Thief, you really see her kind of come full circle. And she realizes, not that she ever thought that she was a good person, but she really realizes what she's done.
Yeah.
She realizes that
so
what
much
she's gone through is totally a product of her own behavior.
It's definitely a lot of development. Lots and lots of character development with her. Not so much the other two. Caleb changes. He does change, but...
See, I don't think Caleb changes at all. I think Caleb is the exact same person in The Opportunist as he is at the last page of Thief. I think same person, yes. I think
he has the same tactics.
I think he's worse at hiding it in Thief.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you think he's more honest, but he's not.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Because he's definitely the same. He approaches the situations the same.
Leah, I don't like to use the C word, but if I had to pick one word to describe Leah, that would be it. And it continues to be it. Like she
will
changes
never
the
learn
least.
from her behavior.
No.
Never.
Olivia changes the most. Leah changes the least.
She's a character that constantly pulls the victim card.
Yes.
She will always be the victim in every situation.
And that's why I can almost forgive Olivia, because she really realizes the behavior that she's portrayed in the past has been wrong. Leah refuses.
No.
She
will never acknowledge
no.
being wrong.
And it's not even that she won't acknowledge it. I genuinely don't think she realizes it. Like, I think in her head, she excuses the things that she's done.
It makes sense to her.
She does tend to connect better with her daughter. But she, of course, still uses her daughter as leverage for Caleb. So there's only so much that you can't say that she's a good mom.
No, because you know what? That's something that I absolutely hate, is when parents use their kids against the other parent.
That's
all she does.
She grows to care for her. I forget the daughter's name. It's Estella. Remember from Great Expectations?
That's what I was thinking. It's something from...
Because I just remembered that I knew it had something to do with Olivia.
How the hell did I forget that? Stella?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Estella. Yeah, so she definitely grows to connect a little bit more with Estella, but still definitely not a good mom. Should not have been allowed to have children.
No, she's one of the people that should not have had kids at all.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. Anyways, her whole plan of having a baby didn't work.
No, he didn't stay with her.
No.
And
So
I hate that, because
point?
of course he wasn't going to. If he wasn't going to stay with you before you had the baby, why would he stay with you through all the stress of having a newborn? And that it never makes sense to me how women think that they can trap a man with a baby. No. Relationships get harder after you have a baby.
Yeah, not easier. Yeah. I never understood that math. But,
yeah.
You know, hey, whatever.
This is also the one where you see that how Olivia kind of justified ending things with Caleb, which, by the way, the way she ended things with Caleb it broke my heart. The whole situation where she, like...
Ugly crying.
Yes, she
just ugly crying.
Held on to her virginity for 2 years just to go have sex with some random guy to get back at Caleb for something that didn't even happen the way that she thought it did. But
again, people jumping to conclusions. Why? Why?
Olivia's insane, like certifiably insane.
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
A lot of things in these books broke my heart. But they're some of my favorites.
Yeah. And like
I'll read them again in a heartbeat.
And like we said, this is years in the future, so you kind of get a more mature Caleb and a more mature Olivia. And a Leah that's exactly the same. But
yeah, I mean,
is this also the one where you kind of, or is that the first one where you learn about the girlfriend that Caleb had in college that got pregnant, and then Olivia convinced her to get an abortion?
That's in the first one.
Okay.
That was pretty intense too.
That was fucking insane.
How?
Just so that...
Okay, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But how can you justify, because you like this guy, that you're gonna take his girlfriend?
She knew that Caleb was the kind of guy that would have married this girl because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I want to marry him. So I don't want to say she convinced her to get an abortion. Because, and I almost kind of can't blame her.
Homegirl was already going.
Yeah, Homegirl was already going to go.
But I still wouldn't have had a partner.
No, and then once they get to the clinic, the girl looks at her and was like, should I go through with this? Like, she was definitely having second thoughts. And instead of letting her entertain those second thoughts, she said, no, you need to do it. So that was kind of the point to me, where that was the line that she shouldn't have crossed.
That was a line that she shouldn't have crossed. But people do bad things. People do bad things, and again, I know I talked about Leah being really selfish earlier, but that was such a selfish moment on Olivia's part. So selfish. And like,
because
for it to end like that, after all of that, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, so I mean, since we're talking spoilers, we will go ahead and say, like, Caleb and Olivia did end up together, but it wasn't like they rode off into the sunset.
It didn't feel
onto their
like
happy life. No, it didn't feel like a happy ending,
No.
even though they were together. Olivia decided she really wanted a baby and she couldn't get pregnant, and that's what we were kind of talking about with the whole karma. It's like you can't do that many bad things and then not expect something to come back and bite you. You
to mention they had to wait so many years to finally just be together.
Yeah.
That's karma.
Yeah.
But on a higher note, the writing, okay? Like, I am just addicted to it.
Yeah.
Anything that she writes. I mean, this is just
Tarryn
so
could write something on like a used restaurant napkin and I would pay money for it.
Right.
It's just incredible.
It's good. She has the most amazing way with words.
Mm-hmm.
Just the most amazing way.
So
Even her captions on like Instagram, I'm just like blown
If
away.
you guys don't follow Tarryn Fisher on Instagram, you need to. She does something called Tuesdays with Tarryn where she completely opens up her Instagram to questions, and she gives the most insanely thought out advice. And she's not someone where she's like, oh, well, here's how you have to change. She's like, you're not perfect and that's fine. Here's how you grow from this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's so unique to anyone, but especially for a woman. She's like no other woman that ever exists.
Yeah.
Ever.
She's all about empowering women.
Yeah. But not in the sense that she thinks women are perfect.
No.
You know, I think a lot of times feminism is like, oh, women are so great. It's like, no, we're just as bad as men.
Human nature.
Yeah.
Everyone has flaws.
Correct. Yeah.
And she's all about embracing those flaws.
Yeah, exactly. That's like her big thing.
So, now that we've endorsed Tarryn Fisher,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. I think
Yeah.
we've covered everything.
I think we've laughed for too long.
We have, probably, but
Yeah.
these are some darn good books. So make sure to go check them out, or share your thoughts with us if you have read it. We are dying to talk about it.
Yes.
Obviously,
She's such an underrated author. It's hard for us to find other people who have read her work.
Yeah. So let us know.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you guys enjoyed. Please, if you did, leave us a comment down below. Thumbs up this video, share it, subscribe, all that jazz. All of our social media will be linked in the description box below. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.